December of 2019, China's having the worst winter ever as an outbreak of an unknown virus takes over the country, spreading like wildfire. Americans look on this with joy, laughing to themselves how poorly run a country China is, and saying that this will never make waves in the States. Fast forward to March of 2020, I'm in Japan when suddenly I'm awakened by two of my friends on their phones calling their parents because news just hit that America is a brand new breeding ground for COVID-19. Flights to America are getting postponed or canceled, and everyone is asked to please stay home or wear masks when leaving the house. America is scared. I'm scared. I don't know if I can go back home, and eventually I do, no worries there, but I'm quarantined for about 2 weeks in my own house. I can't complain, I just wish I had a bed to go to and not a couch to sleep on. Let's rewind a little bit, shall we? While many of us Americans said that there's no way that this could possibly make way to the States, it did. And it was just one case at the time, but it was enough to spread the virus big time. But nobody was sure of that yet. Wall Street members heard this news and began speculating how it is they could possibly benefit from it. And they began some insider trading on what stocks to buy and buy big. Amazon, grocery stores, Netflix, PayPal, Google, Nvidia, AMD, you name it. They were preparing for a full-on quarantine countrywide pandemic. And that's what happened. At the start of it all, it was almost damn near impossible to get a lot of groceries from the store as people were buying in bulk. Then grocery stores had to put a limit on what you could purchase, and then people complained. So people went to buying their groceries online. I know I had to do this at some point. Toilet paper was a big joke as people for some reason were buying it in huge quantities like they were going to have a diarrhea-filled journey of staying home. And people were buying computers as well so they could game with friends during the pandemic. And I mean, they were definitely getting the money to do so with things such as the unemployment benefits and even the stimulus check. And I know I was getting some good money up until I spent it all on alcohol like the alcoholic I am. Fuck! All the while, the rich were getting richer with stocks because they made the right predictions and were getting bank for it. But fast forward to 2021 and you find that they made a prediction that they weren't prepared to be wildly wrong for. Around December of 2020, I decided I would invest in stocks. My first time ever doing so. At the time, people were talking about Dogecoin, a very big joke stock. And I didn't care for it. It's cryptocurrency, and it was as low as, like, I think half a cent at the time.
God, what's the air company you flew on? Delta?
American Airlines.
Speaking of which, American Airlines is down to $15 on the stock market, so,
Buy that dip. Buy the dip.
That's actually what I did.
So this podcast is now going to become like an insider trading.
The thing is, like, the main reason why it is that I bought it during the dip is because the highest it's been was like $50, and I know once COVID's over, everybody's gonna want to start flying out of the country again.
Yeah.
So if it's down to like $12, that shit's gonna skyrocket right back up. And apparently, American Airlines.
How much did you put in it?
I put like only one share, which was $12 at the time. And that's pretty fucking good because if you're putting one share of $12 and it goes up to $50, you're still making some money back at least. So that's
Mesa's cracked.
You make like what, 40
investing?
Yeah, I think something like that.
So you make like $38. Is that like your highest hopes? You're not going to go in for anything bigger than that?
Oh, I'll definitely want to go for something bigger, but that's still pretty good. That's still good return.
I think for someone starting out, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good, dude.
And the thing is, right, apparently, so something I read recently was American Airlines is talking about how they want to give out free hotel stays and 2-for-1 deals when COVID starts, or like when most of the population starts getting the vaccine, which should be pretty soon. So that should put them on like a good list for them to, get more sales, which would in turn probably should in turn have their stocks rise. So I'm thinking this through. I thought the same of movie theaters, and as there weren't many that I could buy or knew of, I bought stock in AMC, but I sold it after seeing it go down slowly but surely, fearing that it would go out of business before the pandemic was even over. And it seems I wasn't the only one who felt the same way. In fact, Wall Streeters were banking on it failing, hoping that not only AMC fails, but American Airlines and Gamestop, as well as a number of other stocks, so they shorted their stocks. And this is the part in the video where I explain how shorting stocks works, and it won't take long. It's quite simple. So if you're not interested in hearing that, fast forward. You're a Wall Street kind of guy, living off stocks and being a complete asshole to the lower class. You see that you have some shares in GameStop one day while sipping on the most expensive wine you possibly can and cheating on your wife. The dip is massive, and you're thinking, hey, this is it. That shitty company is going to finally fail. I'm gonna bet all of my money on it, so let's go ahead and short our shares, shall we? Let's say I want to go ahead and short GameStop stocks. Say the price is at $3. I borrow a share and immediately go ahead and sell that shit at a higher price. The dip is over. Give or take, I get about $9 or $10 out of it. I have $10 now, but I still owe my broker that one share that I borrowed. Well, let's say I haven't paid back my broker for the one share that I borrowed and the dip is back. It wasn't actually over, it was just a small peak. GME is now at $5. Now, I have to buy it back in order to cover my short position, buying it at the lower price and returning that share I kind of borrowed back to my broker. $10 from selling and $5 to buy it back at a lower price to cover my position gives me about, give or take, $5 in return. So let's say, instead, for some magical reason, the stock goes up. And it goes up big time. GME was at $5 last night, but right now it's at $300. Well, I still need to return my borrowed share back to my broker. But now I have to pay a lot more money than if it had done what I had hoped for it to do. Failing. The more that price rises, the more money I am losing. Instead of gaining money because the stock went down as I had hoped, the stock is rising, and for that I have to spend more money than I had wanted to in order to cover my short position. You understand? See, it's really simple. So a few weeks ago, a hedge fund had taken a huge amount of short trades against GameStop. Some Redditor on Wall Street Bets had taken note of this and decided that the best course of action was to, get this, buy as much GameStop stock as possible. In doing so, the hedge fund's short positions lost massive amounts of money. In fact, they lost billions of dollars. They managed to lose more than $13 billion, and eventually, the hedge fund had to close their short positions and buy all of the GameStop stock back, and they had to do so at a now boosted price of roughly $360+. That hedge fund is now declaring bankruptcy because of this, and I couldn't be happier. Oh yeah, and Reddit found out that there were a bunch of other companies that were having this go on in secret. Companies such as American Airlines and AMC Entertainment. You know, two of the companies I had actually invested in, but I only had named AAL on my podcast because I had sold AMC thinking it wasn't worth it. If I could go back in time and tell myself I was a fucking idiot, I think that would have benefited me greatly. Wall Street is now complaining about this and saying that it should be illegal.
The reason the market is doing what it's doing is people are sitting at home getting the checks from the government, okay? And this fair share is a bullshit concept. It's just a way of attacking wealthy people, and, you know, I think it's inappropriate. We all got to work together and pull together.
Because, you know, if the poor people are getting rich through the same methods that rich people got rich through, it's not right.